Okay, we are at the final step, and I am going to do this from start to finish. So it's not going to have a montage of what I did. Chair is noisy as hell. Okay, so we need two things. We need Substance Painter open. We're going to just open that first. We're going to navigate to our knife. Yeah, it was an older version, blah, 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 new update. And we got our knife. It's all textured, it's all done. Got that working back again. I don't know if you noticed in the earlier video, but when I was showing you how to use this, my details on the dots disappeared. I don't know what happened. Anyway, knife is all done, all textured. Just need the 3D view open. Let's just say that you are happy with how it is looking in Substance Painter. We are going to go up to here. It's File, Export Textures, and it's going to open up this new window. And this window is finicky. Yeah, and they didn't even update this. Okay. We are going to go to this one first, Output Templates, just to look at what's going on here. Yeah, it's still there. Sorry, this looks shorter than it usually is. Whatever. We are going to use what is called the Unreal Engine Packed template. We can use mesh maps, but that's if we're not going to be totally, completely organized. But we want to use Unreal Engine Packed because it gives us a very special texture, which is right here. Mesh, texture set, occlusion, roughness, metallic. So this is what is called a packed texture. And I have it already exported. I'm going to open it up. Oh boy, exports. Of course it's not there, it's going to be in here. There it is. Here is the exported packed texture. It's going to look weird. We can't look at what we're wanting to look at, but it completely... Oh my god, why can't I think today? A packed texture is multiple textures packed into one. So we can look at this one, occlusion, roughness, metallic, and it is organized as so. RGB, occlusion, roughness, metallic. When we get to Unreal Engine, I will explain it a little bit more because it's easier in there. So we're going to be using the Unreal Engine packed template. If we just select it in here, it's going to do nothing. We have to go into settings, global settings, choose where you want to export it. You can export it to either a new folder that you make or just straight onto your desktop if you want to be fast. We pick the template from here. Like here's all the templates. We're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom and find Unreal Engine Packed. We're going to click on that. PNG is totally fine. 8 bits plus dithering or 16 bits. I like going in the middle. And right here is the size. So this can either be based on how it is in the scene in Substance Painter right now, or we can make it all the way up to an 8K texture. Since it's a knife, I only used it up to 2048, a 2K texture. Padding. You want to keep it like this. What padding is if I go back to that texture, we can look at it even at this one. You can see in the texture, like right here, this is where we have our handguard UV, and then it stretches out the image. This is the padding. This way we can have our UVs move ever so slightly if there's an error, because sometimes that can happen. Sometimes the UVs can get all messed up somehow. But let's just say it moved a little bit. It's not going to cause a large problem, as long as it's just a little bit. And that is with all of them. Even in the normal map, we get in that stretching look. And in this one, even more so. All that stretching. We can see all our UV islands. So pick the Unreal Engine packed template. Keep this at dilation infinite. These don't matter. Well, not for what we're doing. Gonna go to here to knife tutorial. This is the material. And you can see right here, I already have this one unchecked. For a good reason. Because if we go back into here, looking at all the templates, and we can look at the Unreal Engine packed template, it's telling us what textures are being exported right here. So this is going to be that base color. This is that packed texture. This is the normal, and this is emissive. The emissive texture we are not using because knives don't emit light. An emissive texture is going to be a colored texture, so it's going to use RGB, and it is going to emit light. Something that you would want to use an emissive texture for is something like a desk lamp, or a light bulb, or a flashlight. So if you want to have light emitting from an object, an emissive texture is what we're going to be using. But we're not doing that. So in here, in the material settings, we're going to turn that off. I'm going to leave these just fine. But let's say you want to export it in some other template like mesh maps, so you can have the normal world space, ID, position, curvature, thickness, opacity. This is an issue, and this has been an issue since I have started making stuff with Substance Painter. No matter how wide we make this, it is not going to tell us the full name. It only shows us the very end of the texture name. But you can see what you're exporting right here in list of exports. So once you have your textures selected in here, you're going to hit export all the way down here, making sure that you have the right location of where you're exporting it to. I don't need to export them. I have them right here. So I'm just going to close this. And then I'm not going to close Substance Painter because I might want to go back to it depending on how these textures look in Unreal Engine. Now I'm not going to, because I don't want this to be a very long video. So now that we have our textures exported, we're finally going to open the Epic Games launcher first, and then we're going to talk about the Unreal Engine tab. So we're going to go up to here in the Unreal Engine tab, go to Library, and this is engine versions. We can have as many as we want installed. They even have 5.7 out. Good lord. But I'm using 5.6.1. I have not looked at 5.7 yet at all, and I probably should. Maybe I'll do that after recording. But if you don't have any Unreal Engine version installed, you want to click on this plus button. And then click on here, and you can pick all the way down to 4.0.1, whichever version you want. Then you hit install. I'm not going to hit that because I don't want to have another version of Unreal Engine. Not yet. So from here we can hit launch. So I'm going to launch Unreal Engine. And I'm going to skip to when it is done launching. So it's launched partially. What it launched first is the Unreal Project browser. And I have all the other things that I'm working on. Made my profile picture in Unreal Engine. But we're going to make a new one. So we're going to go down to here, to Games. And we're going to hit a blank one, since we're only doing this for the purposes of displaying art. Blueprint is totally fine. Desktop, totally fine. Quality presets, set that to maximum. We're going to set our location right here. I already have it set conveniently. Click on here and we can open the file browser. I'm going to change the name. Change it to Display Room. And of course, project file already exists. So that's how you do it, and I'm just going to open mine. And once it is done loading, like it is right now, I don't want to open anything else. It's going to open up the open world preset map. So to move around, to look around, you just need to click and drag. Left click is going to fix the camera to left and right. And if I go down to the ground, I can probably, yeah. Left click and drag to the left and right. It's going to move the camera left or right. Click and drag with left click for going forward and back with the mouse. You're going to go forward and back with the camera. But this is pretty restricted. So if we right click and drag, we can move the camera in any direction. And then we're going to use W, A, S, and D to move around just like you're playing a game. And then an easy little trick I learned in school is that we can change the speed if we, still holding right click, using WASD to move around, and we scroll the mouse wheel, we can change this rate of speed. You can see at the top right of the viewport, there's a camera button, and as I scroll up and down, the speed of the camera is changing. So this obviously isn't the best environment for showing off props. So what we're going to do is we're going to open the content browser. And you can either go down here and click on it, or you can hit Control Space, and it will open the content browser. And I already have all the folders set up, but we're going to make a new folder. There we go. So what was happening there is I was having an issue. Oh boy. Right clicking and opening this menu. So I'm going to right click. Yep, new folder. Hold on. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to click and drag all these. Move them into there. What? Okay. I don't know what that means. What? Weird. I don't know why I did that. Whatever. Whatever. Let's just ignore all of these. I don't know why that didn't work. I'm gonna make a new folder. We're gonna call this first folder Levels, which already exists. This is a problem. Delete. Yes. Force delete. Delete. Force delete. Delete. You really don't want to force delete things, but since I'm just doing this for a tutorial. I don't really care. Anyway, I'm going to call this new folder. To rename things, we can either right-click on them and hit rename, but right here there's F2, and you can rename anything using F2. So I'm going to call this one levels. I'm going to create another folder, call this one meshes. I'm going to create yet another folder, call this one materials. I'm going to create an even another folder, call this one textures. So in the levels folder, we're going to right click and click on level. This is going to make a blank level for us. And I'm going to call this one display room underscore 001. And I'm going to double left click on display room. Sure. And now we have an empty level. You can see I am moving the camera at the very bottom. You see the gizmo is moving. Perfect. So in this level, and now in these folders that we've made, meshes, it's pretty simple. We're going to go to our file explorer. We are going to grab the knife meshes. Specifically, I have this one where I have the UVs that were moved to another UV tile, moved back onto the 0 to 1 space. So before you take your mesh that has the mirrored UVs on an opposite UV tile, move those UVs back to the 0 to 1 space, just in case of an issue that I have experienced where the texture will not repeat in every UV tile working in Unreal Engine. Should be a way to fix that. I haven't found a way yet. So I'm going to minimize this. And now we have an import content folder. And we have a ton of options for importing meshes. We have some quick selects, the general common settings, static meshes, the skeleton if it's a rigged object, animations if there's animations on it, materials. I have import materials turned off. By default, it should be turned on, but I'm going to turn it off. And why is it doing that? Yeah, weird. So turn off import materials because we are going to be making our own materials. Since our object is only using one material, we shouldn't run into an issue. Now, if we were making a character and he had multiple materials, we do want to import materials, just in case there's a problem with importing it and it doesn't have the material sets still on the object. So let's find that one setting right here. This should be turned off by default. And I'm going to show you why I turn that on. So I'm going to hit import. And now I have the guard, the blade, and the handle all as their own static mesh. And I don't want that. So I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to import it again. Clicking and dragging. And I'm going to turn on that setting. Combine static meshes. Import again. And now we have our knife. Double clicking to open it as our one object, our one static mesh. You can see right now, right here, it has the world grid material set as the material, and it has element 0. Very cool. So now we have our knife imported, and we're now going to start importing the textures. That's the next step. Gonna go to, where is it? Substance Painter, Textures. Gonna grab these three textures, the base color, the normal, and the packed texture. And I'm gonna drag them, put them in my textures folder. And I can finally close this. And for whatever reason, it likes to do that every now and then. Maybe I will switch to 5.7. Okay. So now we have our base color, our normal, and our packed texture. This asterisk is telling us that there is settings that have not been saved, and that is just because we recently imported this object and we have not saved yet. So we're going to save right now. We're going to close the content browser, and with our mouse hovering in the viewport, we're going to hit Control Shift S, and it's going to save everything. It's going to save the level, it's going to save the meshes, the textures, materials, everything. So now that we have our knife mesh and our textures, we can now start with the materials. But in the materials tab, we're going to create two more folders. This folder I am going to call Master, and this folder I am going to call Instance. In the Master folder, we're going to open it, right click, and click on Material. This one I am going to call Knife _ Master. But to make this even more organized, we're going to go M _ Knife _ Master. And now we get into the node-based noodle system of Unreal Engine that I just love. In the material editor, material graph, this is going to take a while to explain, so buckle in. We have all the details and parameters over here. Right here we can make it two-sided, meaning if there is a flat plane, the material is going to show up on two sides of it, on both sides of the flat plane. Did they change the name of that? No, they didn't. I don't know what that does. Whatever. So we got all these settings we can do. Right now, we don't need to touch this. What we need to do is look into here. This is the material itself, and we are going to make nodes and parameters that plug into our material and let us change things in the scene. So I'm going to open here our content browser, and I'm going to go to the textures folder. I'm going to grab first, I'm going to open our packed texture. And there's something we need to change, and I need to explain the packed texture a little bit more. Right here is something called sRGB for the packed texture. Turn this off. You can see it changed. The sRGB is going to alter how the textures look, whether it is our ambient occlusion, our roughness, or our metallic map. Usually when you forget to turn off sRGBs, the roughness texture is darker and your object looks shinier. So just turn it off and your roughness texture won't be shiny and your ambient occlusion won't be messed up. won't be darker. And your metallic is either 1 or 0. 1 is on, 0 is off. So we're going to go back into here to our material editor. I'm going to grab our textures, click, shift, click. I'm going to drag them into here. I'm going to put our packed texture in the middle, our normal texture at the bottom, and our base color at the top. Zoom out just a little bit. So from here, what we can do is we can just plug them in, clicking and dragging from node to node. But for the packed texture, we're going to do something different. Because it's a packed texture, the channels on the image, the R, G, and B, are each their own texture. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the R, G, and B channels of this image and use them as our textures for our material. And if you ever forget which is which, ARM, ambient occlusion, roughness, metallic. ARM. That's the acronym I always use. So we're going to grab this, bring it to ambient occlusion, grab our roughness, put it to roughness, grab our metallic, put it into metallic. You can see our sphere is sporting all of our details and our stretched detail padding and looking nice and weird. Now what we are going to do is what we're not going to do is leave it like this. We're going to go back to it, but we're going to change it just a little bit. We're going to go into here, into our scene, and I'm going to hit unlit. I'm going to go up to here, unlit, or we can hit Alt 3. In this way, we do not need any lights in the scene to see what we are working on. So I'm going to grab our knife static mesh, drag it into the scene. And it is tiny, so I am going to scale it later. But just by dragging it, it puts it at an odd position. So I want to put it at center. I'm going to hit F on the keyboard to focus on the object. And then for purposes of displaying it, I'm going to scale it up just a bit, to maybe like at 10. Something that Unreal Engine does that is very nifty is up here we have the movement snapping, rotation snapping, and scale snapping. So if I wanted to move this object in the center of this square, I won't be able to do that because I have it snapped to every 10 units. And if you remember from the first video when I was talking about the Unreal Engine grid, every unit is a centimeter, and every small square is 10 centimeters. And it's set to 10 centimeters. So it's going to snap at every little square. I'm going to center that again. Rotation is every 10 degrees by default. And for now, I like to keep it as every 10 degrees. And scaling is at every 0.25 units. So we have our knife. It's unlit so we can see it. I'm going to hit Q so I can... I'd also like to say that the Q, W, E, and R hotkeys are the same as Maya, because it is industry standard. Unlike Blender, I can rant for hours of how much I hate Blender. Anyway. Gonna open here. And what we don't want to do is we don't want to have our master material assigned to our object. I'm gonna open our knife mesh. So what is a master and what is an instance? A master is this. It is this material. It is how we edit the material itself. We're going to open this. I'm going to right click on our material and I'm going to hit create material instance. And when I double click on the material instance, it's this instead. I don't get this when it's a material instance. I get this. And in the content drawer, I'm going to hit F2 to rename it. Hit F2 to rename it. Excuse me. Excuse me. I'm going to delete the end where it says master instance. I'm just going to call it m_knife. And I'm going to put mi_knife so I can tell everyone that I'm working with this is a material instance so they don't have to figure it out by double clicking on it. And it's in its own instance folder, so I'm going to drag it into the instance folder, move here, and now we have mi_knife all named, all ready to go. So why did we make an instance? What an instance is, it's a cheaper rendered version of a material. A good and well-organized game is going to use material instances, save now, for specific things. It's going to make a master material, and then the material instances are going to be the same material, but it's going to be plugged in with different textures and different parameter settings for pretty much for free. Because when we are talking about rendering in games, this is rendering right now. And what we want to do is we want to have our game well optimized. So we have like one material for props, and it's all the parameters for the props. And all the textures are plugged into the specific material instance parameters. And it's only going to have to do a draw call for that one master material. It still has to do a draw call for all the textures of those different props that are in the scene, but we are getting that material pretty much for free. So we're going to go back to Knife Master. I'm going to hit apply. Apply is like save, but not really. If we were to close this, this wouldn't save everything. You would have to hit save, but apply is faster and cheaper for your system. And I'm going to open the knife mesh. I'm going to show you a nifty trick. If you hit Control Space, opening the content browser, go into the material instance folders. If we click on the material instance, then we click on this arrow, it's going to plug in that instance for us, so we don't have to just drag it and open the content drawer. If we know we have this material instance selected, because every time I open and close the content drawer, that material instance is still selected. So even with the content drawer, if I know that material instance is what we have selected, I can just hit that and plug it in. And now we have our knife. And this is why I have you put those extra edges that I didn't put in, because we're getting this error. And it's not the end of the world. It's just a little weird looking. But everything else looks fine, so I kept it. And I want to get this out to you. And I want to teach people. I want more people to understand Unreal Engine instead of just going onto Reddit and complaining that, oh, every Unreal Engine game is poorly optimized. Unreal Engine is fucking hard to understand. Look at all this fucking information we have. It's fucking ridiculous. So anyway, we're going to go to our material instance. We're going to be like, wait a minute. I want to change something. Let's say there's two different knives we have. We have like knife 1 and knife 2. Knife 2 is the same knife, but it's colored differently. You know what? Let's let's change something. I'm going to show you some cool shit. What we're going to do is we're going to do some magic in our material editor. I'm just spreading this out so we have space. And I'm going to right click on this. And I'm going to hit convert to parameter. Now we can name this BC text for base color texture. Now if we hit apply, and we go to the knife, the material instance, now we have a global texture parameter value where we can change the texture. So moving on, what I want to do is I want to set up this material in a way that gives me freedom of controlling how this material is going to look. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to convert all these to parameters. I'm going to change this to packed text. Change this to a parameter. Normal text. Oh boy. A lot of work we're going to be doing. It's going to be a long fucking video. So going up here, we're just going to focus on base color for now. So what is base color? It's just color information. So what we're going to be thinking about is color information. How do we want to change color information? In here, well, there's a 3. You can hit 1 and left click, and we create a constant 1. If I hit 2 and left click, I make a constant 2. 3 and left click, creating these shortcuts to making other nodes. I have made something that looks pretty similar to this texture. This is a constant 3 node. If you just hold 3 and left click, you create a constant 3 node. In the base color, let's say I want to make this a gray as a constant. Gonna go over here, click on that, make it gray. And now it is going to only give out this gray color if I were to plug it in. Now everything is that gray color. Even that metal is that gray color. Very interesting. Whatever. Well, I don't want this to just be stuck at a gray color value, right? So I'm going to right click on it, convert to a parameter. And now I have BC constant. I'm going to do something very cool here. I'm going to right click, and this is all the different kinds of nodes that we can make. But we're going to search for something a little bit specific. We're going to search for a static switch parameter. Right down here under parameters, static switch parameter. We get this special node that is going to make its own parameter for us. It's already a parameter. I'm going to name it something very specific. I want to name it use BC text question mark. I am phrasing it as a question because I want the parameter to be clear on what it is used for other people. So let's say, do we want to use a texture? Yes, we're going to plug it into the texture. No, we're going to plug it into our constant parameter. I'm going to set the default value to yes so I don't mess up the knife that's already in the display room. And I'm going to do it for all of these, but I'm going to skip the pack texture because this one's a little bit more complicated. I'm going to go down to the normal. I'm going to right click, static, switch parameter. I did this, but I didn't show it. If you hold down Control and drag from a node, you can keep the noodle connection. It's just a nifty way of, a faster way to switch connections. Set this normal default value to yeah. Plug this in. And we need to do something specific here as well. I'm going to hit 3 and left click to make a constant. And I'm going to open this. I'm not going to switch it to a parameter because this is a normal texture. And blue is flat. As you can see, if we're looking at this normal texture, there's blue, there's red, and there's green. Blue, red, and green, and anything that blends between the three using RGB is the direction that the normals of the object should be facing. If you remember normals, and me showing you that, remember that little square that we were working on and the green lines protruding from it. This texture is telling us where those arrows are supposed to be pointing and how light is going to react to the object. So we're going to change it to red 0, green 0, blue 1. I'm going to hit OK, and I'm going to plug it into false. If I were to turn this off, now it's flat. Turn it on, we got those normal details. Turn it off, it's flat. So this one, we just want to have it as a constant. Change this to use normal text question mark. So now we have some nifty parameters going on. But already I'm like, this is kind of disorganized. So I'm gonna click and drag, marquee selecting all these nodes up here. And I'm gonna hit C. And that creates a comment box. So I'm gonna name this comment box BC for base color. And something cool about comment boxes, if we grab this white line that we have here and move it around, it's moving all the nodes that are inside our comment box, and we can extend it. Oh, come on. And it's grabbing that node as well. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool indeed. Anyway, let's make a comment box for our normals, hitting C on the keyboard, as in cat, as in comment, oh, this normal. Move it down here. This one is a little bit more nifty. We have ambient occlusion, roughness, and metallic all on one texture. So I'm going to move it back here. And for the time being, I am going to break all of these connections. Just clicking, control and dragging, and clicking off of them. So I broke it. It's broken. Good God, what have I done? All the normal and roughness, all the roughness and ambient occlusion and metallic. Oh no. Don't worry, we're going to fix it. We're going to do this. I'm going to hit C, comment box, and I'm going to call this packed. Just so it's zoomed out. You can see what's going on. We're going to start with roughness first, which is the green channel. I'm going to, over here, make a comment box. I'm going to call this one roughness. Open it up just a little bit. And what do we know about the roughness texture? It is a grayscale texture. It is a 0 to 1 value in the image. How textures work that are like roughness or metal or ambient occlusion, grayscale textures, they are telling per pixel to the program, to Unreal Engine, that this black pixel is 0 and this white pixel is 1. So we want to have a scalar parameter. And we're going to hit S on the keyboard, as in snake, and left click, and we've made a scalar parameter. I'm going to rename this one roughness. And down here underneath material expression scalar parameter, there's the default value, the minimum, and the maximum. At default, all of these are at 0. The minimum, I want to keep to 0, but if I type in 1 in the max, and let's just plug this into the roughness, and let's hit apply, and let's go to the material instance. We have this scalar parameter, roughness, and we can only go to 0 to 1 because the pixels in the roughness parameter of a material are always either 0 or 1. You can't go above white, pretty much. Can't go below black. Well, technically you can with coding, but whatever. It's not what I'm trying to tell you. So we're going to fix it now. We're going to make our static switch parameter. Right clicking on anywhere on the graph. Grab that static switch parameter. And I want to control drag this to there. It's going to give me an error. I'm going to name this one use roughness text question mark. Do I want to use roughness texture? No. I'm going to use the scalar parameter. Do I want to use roughness texture? Yes. I'm going to use the green channel on our packed texture. We'll set default value to yeah. So now we're using that roughness texture. So that's roughness. What about ambient occlusion and metallic? Well, it's very simple. These are both requiring of scalar parameters, so I'm going to hit S on the keyboard, left click to make 2 more scalar parameters. I'm going to rename this one AO. I'm going to name this one metallic. AO for ambient occlusion. Honestly, we're never going to use this, so I'm going to have the default value to yeah, to yes, and just never really touch it. So I'm going to make another static switch. Going to call this one use AO. No. Yes. Default value, yes. Put this down to ambient occlusion. Create a comment box. Ayo. That is not an A. Ayo. There. Do the same thing for here, but we can also just Control C, Control V. And I'm going to rename this one to metallic. Yes, I do want to use metallic. No, I do not. And then drag this all the way over to the metallic slot. Create a comment box, metallic. Voila! We have made our first complex material. Give yourself a round of applause. Or something, I don't know. But we can get even more detailed. Now maybe I want to keep this texture, but I want to manipulate it still with another value, with another color. So we're going to make a little bit more space in our comment box. I'm going to drag it all the way up to this corner, and I'm going to make another 3 constant parameter. Switch it to parameter. I'm going to call this texture color blend. That's what I'm going to call it. I'm sure there's a better, more understanding title somewhere. I'm going to set the default value to white. I'm going to set it to white, and I'm going to make another static switch parameter. And I'm going to call this one blend BC. That's what I'm going to call it. Now I don't just want to put these and these, because that's just going to switch between the two. Either it's the texture or the base white color. I want to create a multiply node. I'm going to hold down M on the keyboard. And I'm going to create a multiply node by left clicking. I'm going to drag another connection from the RGB value to A and B to this one. I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to hit start previewing node. And as you can see, it's looking at just the base color texture on our sphere, and we can change it to a plane. Looking at the backside, there we go. And nothing's really happening. Let's preview this node. Preview this node. Nothing's happening. That's because I have it as white. But if I were to change it, add some saturation to it, hit OK, now it's red. Maybe just a little bit of red. Now it's a little pink. Now it's a little bit of pink. Let's just keep it a little bit of pink. So for here, what I want to do is I want to make a connection from here. Yes, I do want to blend another color with my base color texture. No, I do not want to blend another color with my base texture. And I'm going to keep it as a default value, then connect it to this one. And when I stop previewing this node, go back to the sphere because I'm used to seeing that. And it looks like we are back to our normal looking sphere with our normal textures. I'm going to hit apply. And let's go back to our material instance. Looking at this. You might notice right here, this is where you can change which object you are seeing the texture on. You can hit Control Space, go to our meshes, grab our knife mesh, click on this object right here. And now we're previewing it on our very, very tiny knife. so we can actually see what object we are actually changing the parameters to. But this, once again, is very disorganized. So we're actually going to go back into our material editing. We're going to look at this material expression group. Right here, if we just double click on this, we can change this to normal. And let's just hit apply and see what that did. Now I have a tab here called normal where I have that normal texture attribute parameter. I can turn that on and I can change it. So we're going to do that for all of these, except for this one. This is a constant. I'll call this one normal. But I don't want to just type in normal or metallic every time, so I'm just going to grab this one. I'm going to call it metallic. And I'm going to grab our static switch parameter, and I'm going to click down and grab on the metallic group already made. Same for the roughness. Put this one, roughness. Go here. Click on the down arrow. Roughness. AO. Same one here. AO. And spelling and capitalization does matter because we can have AO and we can have AO. See what I mean? For this one, we're definitely going to use this feature. I'm going to BC. And then I'm going to grab all of them by shift selecting. Not that one. And of course it went away. BC. This one worked. That one is all in the BC group. Change this one to BC as well. I'm going to hit apply. Go back to the instance, and now we have our base color, our AO, our metallic, and our normal. And we have that packed texture in the global texture parameters value, just for being organized. I'm gonna name this one packed. Put it in its own group by itself. Hit apply. Now you have a packed and a roughness. Now you might be saying, wait a minute, I am seeing something a little bit weird. If I were to hit this, now I have that scalar parameter. So the static switch parameter, what it does is it turns on and off a parameter in the material instance. So it's not even rendering in that information. Like right here, if I turn this on, blend base color, remember this is a scalar parameter. I turn that on, now I have this texture color blend parameter where I can change the color. Now it's a little bit red, making it blue, making it green, making it yellow, cyan, magenta, purple. Ooh, purple. Very nice. But I don't want to do that, so I'm going to turn that off. And now it's not even rendering that in. So hopefully this helps you understand, or at least get you started on this node-based system. There's plenty of other tutorials out there that go way more into depth. I mean, if you look at terrain materials, those go so more complicated than this. So you can do this no problem. I'm just gonna grab these, pack them a little bit more nicely together. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's save. Control Shift S, saving everything. Now if we get this, go back to lit, we're not going to see anything. That's because we don't have any lights in yet. But before we hit lights, I'm going to hit unlit just a little bit more. Just a little bit longer. And I'm going to hit Control Space. What am I doing? Oh, yes, modeling. Unreal Engine has a modeling mode. Right up here we have selection mode, and then there's landscape, foliage, mesh paint, modeling. I'm going to open this, go to modeling mode. And in the create bar, we are going to create a sphere. Going to have it snapping onto our grid here. Move it over just a little bit down. Why am I making you make a sphere? We're going to get there just a little bit. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. We're going to hit accept, but not yet. We're going to go down here. Modeling mode, quick settings. Don't hit accept yet. Modeling mode, quick settings. I'm going to slip down here and we're going to hit current folder. That way it's going to put this sphere into this folder. Going to hit accept. And now we have that sphere that we just made in our meshes folder, nice and organized. Next, I'm going to apply our material instance of the knife onto our sphere here. No, I'm going to duplicate. We're going to duplicate. Grab it. Control D. I'm going to call it MI underscore sphere. I'm going to open MI underscore sphere, and I'm going to go into these parameters that we made. Use BC text. Turn that off so we have our 3 constant node parameter. Leave that as gray for now. Use AO text. Turn that off. And scalar all the way up to, oop, I didn't set the value. I didn't fix the value, because even if I'm going way up to these thousands, you can see nothing's happening. So it's not going to hurt you, but it is going to actually cause some issues. So I'm going to hit this, go to 1. I'm going to go back into here. I'm going to go to these scalar parameters. Set these max to 1. Metallic, max 1. Any more scalar? I don't think so. Cool. Didn't hit apply. Hit apply. Go back there. The AO is fixed to there. Now, use metallic texture? No, I don't want to use a metallic texture. Use a normal texture? No, I don't want to use the normal texture. Now it's all flat. Use the roughness texture. No, I do not want to use the roughness texture. I'm going to set that to about there. About halfway through. 0.5. We can have our scalar metallic parameter. Turn it on and off. So now we have a material instance for our sphere using our master material for the knife. Isn't that nifty? I'm going to grab that, plug that into there, and the materials for our sphere. And now you're wondering, why did I make a sphere? Simple. We're going to go down to, I believe it is Xform. No. Model, yes. Model, polygroup. I'm going to click on here and it's going to bring up this polygroup editing settings. I'm going to click this. I'm going to shift click all of them. Shifting and clicking on all the polygroups that we have for this sphere. I'm going to click flip. This is going to flip the normals of these faces. I'm going to hit accept, and now I can see the knife. I'm going to switch to selection mode. And I'm going to put this to the center, move it down, scale it, move it down, scale it, move it down, until I'm about comfortable with putting the camera right here. If we hit G, we can get rid of that grid and any gizmos, anything that would distract us. G is game mode. If you hit G on the keyboard when you're in the viewport, that's going to turn on and off game mode. So you can see that gizmo is going away and the grid is disappearing. There's no XYZ coordinate detection. Can't remember. It's not gizmo. Oh, what's it called? Whatever. Hit G to get rid of that. Now I can look around my knife in the sphere. But if I hit lit up here, I see nothing still. That is because we do not have any lights yet. So we're going to go up to here where we can quickly add to the project. This is the quick add button. Click down here and we have the lights right here. We're going to make a directional light. Using this directional light, I'm going to turn on lit now. I'll be honest, for some reason, the Unreal Engine modeling tools, when you flip the normals, it gives this result. But if you make a sphere in Maya, I'll do that real quickly. Let's open up Maya. Making a sphere in Maya, and then grabbing all the faces and inverting the faces is going to give us a different result. One that I like a little bit more. So I'm going to make a new scene. I'm going to go to General. Make a sphere. Scale it way up till it's ridiculously big. To about there. Let's say there. I'm going to delete all this stuff. I'm going to just keep it as P sphere 1. I'm going to grab the faces. I'm going to hit Shift, Control, Face Normals. Shift, right click, Face Normals. Reverse Normals. Delete history. File, Export Selection. I'm going to put it onto my desktop. Inverted sphere. Export selection. I think that worked. Let's check. Yes, it is. There's my FBX. Put it over to my other monitor. Gonna go to the meshes folder. Drag that inverted sphere in here. And yeah, everything's normal. Fine. So we have the inverted sphere. You can already see there's a difference already. So I'm going to drag this sphere into here. It's a little bit smaller than what we have. Going to put it there, scale it up. Yeah, about there. So you can already see there's a visible difference to how this is rendering. For some reason, the Unreal Engine sphere, when we're inverting it, the lighting is still going to affect it as it was a normal sphere. But if you grab a sphere and you bring it in with the faces inverted, it gives us this result. which I'm going to make it a little bit bigger for the purposes of what I'm going to be doing. Hit G for game mode. Off. And if you want to do it this way, this isn't the end of the world. You're just going to have to rotate the directional light in the way where we're getting the backlighting. But for me, I'm going to use this sphere that I brought in, deleting this one. I'm just going to invert it the other way. So what am I doing here? I am making a stage for my camera to view my knife. But I'm sure you're already seeing I have a flaw. I can see a shadow from my knife going onto the wall. That's going to destroy what I'm trying to do, which is have a colored background. If we put this material instance on here. Whoops. There we go. Looking at this, this is destroying what I'm trying to do, making the nice image, this distracting shadow in the background. That's a problem. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into here, selecting the sphere. We're going to go into the search bar of the details tab for the sphere. I'm going to type in channel. And what's going to come up is lighting, light channels. I'm going to turn off 0 and turn on 1. Right now that directional light is only lighting the knife. I'm going to go to my directional light, still having channel in the search bar. I'm going to turn off 0 and turn on 1. And now we don't have that shadow, because what I'm doing is I am filtering out what objects I want this light to affect. So now I don't have to use this directional light to light this knife. I can do whatever lighting I want. And what I am going to have you guys set up, which is the most commonly used lighting setup, is the 3-point light setup. So we're going to go up to here and we're going to create 3 spotlights. And we can duplicate it. There, we got 3 spotlights. I'm going to grab one. I'm going to hit F2. I'm going to name this one Key Light. I'm going to grab this second one, hit F2. I'm going to name this one Fill Light. Grab the third one, F2, Rim Light. And we can even organize this. So I'm going to grab this directional light, create a folder, call this one Lighting. So I'm going to grab these, hitting Control and clicking. And I can put them into my lighting folder. And I can even turn them on and off. Now there's something I want to talk about as well, which we haven't done yet. You might notice as I'm turning on the lighting, turning the light off and turning the light on and off, there's this delay going on. That is the auto exposure mimicking the human eye already set up in Unreal Engine. Because what Unreal Engine excels at is lighting. Unreal Engine is phenomenal at lighting things. And they have set it up in a way where we can mimic the human eye, how light exposure is. But for this, we don't want that. We're going to create something special. We're going to create in the, which is it? Visual Effects? Yes, in the Visual Effects tab, in the Create menu of Post-Process Volume. This is going to create a volume, a square volume, a cube volume even. And I'm just going to make it a little bit, you know what, I'm going to do it like this. Halfway, like that, like that. There. That should be able to help me tell you what's going on. I'm going to get rid of this search. What the post-process volume is, it's the general settings for lighting. Or anything, really. I'm going to go into here. This is the lens for our camera. I'm going to go down to even a little bit further. We have bloom. I'm going to go down to the exposure tab. In metering mode, we're going to turn that on. We're going to turn this to manual. And it already changed. I'm going to turn exposure compensation on, and we're going to turn this on to 10. And now it looks like how it used to. And if I turn lighting on and off, it's still doing that feature. But not to the degree of this. You see, the exposure is going to build and build until it's to 10, but we want to work with our lighting, not fight it. If we have it set up in this way, we're going to have bad lighting. But setting it up in this, we're going to know exactly how our exposure on the lighting is, because it's already fixed. But I don't want to always make this volume, make it big and put my camera in it, make sure the camera's in the volume, because when I go out of the volume with the camera, it's back to the basic normal values. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to shrink it down again. Shrink it down. Make it a little cube. Way harder to make it a cube than it looks. Whatever. It's close enough. I'm going to go to the search bar, and I'm going to type in Unbound. Spelled correctly. And then we have a special setting called Infinite Extent Unbound. Turning that on, now all of the values set in this volume, it doesn't matter that the camera is inside it or not. Now all the values that we set through the post-process volume is extended to the entire scene. So that way we can play with our lighting, see what we like, see what we don't like, and not have to worry about, is this really what I am looking at? Turning that off, like, it already changed a little bit. So this way we have the true exposure value that we are messing with. Now we're finally going to put these lights in. I'm going to make sure that the channels are right. Type in channel, set to 0, click on the knife, it's set to 0. I'm going to grab the key light. The key light is the main light source. If you ever look at a picture of three-point lighting, a three-point lighting setup for photography, the key light is the main light, like I said. So what we're going to do is we're going to point it at our object. And we have all these settings. There's attenuation radius, which is how far away from the light source is it going to affect. We have inner cone angle and outer cone angle, since this is a spotlight. Inner cone angle is going to create a new effect. I'm going to turn that off for now. But the outer cone angle is going to affect how wide this spotlight is going to affect our object. Now you might be noticing this knife isn't getting anything. Well, that's because we messed with the exposure. Going back to the key light. I'm going to change the intensity units to lumens because lumens is prettiest. Set my camera up. And I'm going to slowly increase the lumens. Until I'm lighting my object, but not overexposure on the light on the object. Just a little bit. With lumens, just a little bit. So I'm going to double click on here, type in 30. See what that looks like. Maybe I'm not in love with it. Let's try 25. 25. You know what? Maybe that's just a little bit nicer because I'm just looking at how is the lighting reflecting my object. Is it appealing? Is there anything that's distracting with the key light? And so far, I think it's pretty good. Let's start there, 25. Hit G to get rid of everything. Look at it with just the lighting. G to turn that on. Now I'm going to mess with the outer cone angle to see what happens. Increase it. Whoa. Decrease it. Whoa. So it is going to act like a spotlight. So there's a ton of things that we can mess with that will affect how the light is working. And it's just messing with things, messing with the sliders, seeing what we get. We can even change the color, which I don't really want to do. I like using temperature. Light temperature I can get in another video on. But what it is the lower, the warmer, as you can see. The lower, the higher, the cooler. What light temperature is if you look at fire, like actual fire, fire burns kind of a low temperature than everything else that burns and emits light. So like around, I think it's like 1500 is a candle. No, that's not right. Maybe it was 2500. Yeah, this is about candle or firelight, campfire light. Maybe it's like 3000. That's more like it. So now I have made it the color temperature of campfire light. But I want it to be kind of like studio lighting, so I'm going to go in the middle around 5000. A little bit above 5000 is like a cloudy day. And then anything higher, we're getting into blue suns that are so big and burn really, really hot. I forget what the element is that causes blue suns. Oh well. So that's color temperature, a little crash course on that. I want to make it around studio lighting, which is around a little above 5000. So now we have our fill light. We've got, not our fill light, our key light. We're going to move on to our fill light. The fill light does exactly as it sounds. It's going to fill in the shadows of our object. And the fill light is normally set up opposite of the key light. Let's see there. A little bit too high. I'm going to change this to lumens. Now the fill light is not going to be the same intensity as the key light. So we don't want it to be like this, where we have no shadow whatsoever. We want to have it a little bit below. What's going on with lumens? Why is the lumens intensity? It's probably because of the outer cone angle. Yeah. And what we can use the fill light for, let me show you something cool. I'm going to add a little bit of blue to this light. Just a little bit of blue. Oh. That's why you don't mess with things when you're outside of editing mode. Angle that. Now I have a blue lit shadow. And turn down that intensity where it's just a hint of blue. Just a hint of blue. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do the third and final light, which is the rim light. Same as how the fill light is named, it does exactly as you think it does. Its job is to highlight the outside of our object that we're photographing. And this takes a little bit of finesse with something that's like a knife. Since our object is so small and narrow. I'm going to turn the outer angle, make it very sharp so it's focused on our object. Move it over here. Where did that go? Right off to our object. Grab the object, focus on it. Hit G, see what's going on. I'm gonna grab my rim light, change it to lumens, and scale it up. See what happens. Right now, it's kind of like nothing. So I'm gonna turn off game mode, turn on game mode, turn off game mode. Good lord. And see what is going on. Move it up, scale it down, move it back just a bit. For this, I like to turn off movement and rotation snapping when I'm trying to hone in on something. Get where the camera's going to look at it. Now that rim light is getting that handguard nice and good. Not really the blade. Might have to have the rim light up higher. Rim light is doing a good job there. A little bit of rim right there. I think it's making my knife look even worse. What is going on there? Oh well. Let's zoom out. Grab our rim light. Z back. I liked how it was there. Yeah. Okay, so let's say you're done with the lighting. You have it set up like this. You think it looks good. Let's change the background color. Go into our sphere. And I love the color green, so I'm going to make it green. I love dark green. Ooh, that is way too green. I'll turn down the saturation. Turn down the value even. Not the value. So I kind of even want to go to this directional light. With what a directional light is, it is just a light source way off in the distance that infinitely gives light in one direction. So it's supposed to mimic sunlight. I'm going to go to the mobile light. Not the mobile light. Why do I keep saying that? Turn the intensity down just a little bit. Let's go 8. It looks like it's probably the roughness. I'm going to turn the roughness up on my sphere material. There we go. Gotten rid of that highlight going on. It was bothering me. Still have it, and I have kind of a natural vignette when I make this sphere background, which I used plenty in school. So let's say we're done. We are ready to take some pictures of this. Rotate it around, do whatever. I'm going to go up to create again, and we are going to create under cinematic, Cine Camera Actor. I'm going to hit G so I can see the camera. And right here we have a preview of what the camera is looking at. I can move it back. Just because it's looking at nothing. Now I have the knife in view. And for something like this, you want the camera pretty far back. So we're going to zoom in. Yes, I'm going to use a camera like a camera. Right here we can pin the camera. So I can grab other things and still see what this camera is looking at. Or we can switch to this camera by clicking here and here. Voila. And we can exit it by that. Let's look at it. Let's look through it so you get a better view of what I'm looking at. Better idea of what I'm doing. In the camera options, I'm going to go down to focus settings. And right here we have a cool nifty thing called the debug plane. I'm going to turn that on, and before clicking on this, I'm going to drag this down. You can see that there is a purple thing going on in the viewport. What is this? That is the debug focus plane. I can see it by turning this on, and I can change the color even. This is a visual representation of what the camera is focusing on. So if I want it on the center of the knife, I can drag this value till it's the center of the knife. Or if it is all the way back there at like whatever number, focusing way off in the distance, I can click on this eyedropper tool and click on the knife and it will focus onto that knife. And if this knife was, let's say, rotated, so it's like this, and the knife point is a little bit closer, and I want to focus, for whatever reason, I want to focus on the tip of the knife. It's going to change to the very tip of that knife. Wherever on the object I click on, it's going to focus on. So let's Z all the way back to where I don't ruin everything. And I want to focus on the middle of the knife. I'm going to go down here to below crop settings, not in the crop settings, but just below it. We have the current focal length in the aperture, where we can zoom in on our knife until we've cropped out everything we don't want. Holding right click and rotating it just so slightly until we're focused nicely onto our object. I'm going to hit G. You can change the aperture, making it darker. I always like messing with all the options I have. See, that rim light is doing its work on that hilt guard. And there's a ton of options that we can use. I like going a little bit down further. We have film grain. Oh, I love film grain. You can turn that up. Turn it to the extreme so we can see it. And look at that. And of course I don't like it that high. I like it just a little bit. That's nice. We even change the film grain texture for whatever reason. So there's a ton of options you can use. Most of them I haven't even ever touched because I focused on characters, and yeah, I worked more on getting skin texture just right. So from here, I believe it's F4. No, is F11. No. F9? Yes, F9 is the screenshot button. You can see the previous screenshot I made for the tutorial videos. We made a new one, and we can look at our nice image. Now, something I want to talk about really quick as well. There used to be, before they changed it to this, there used to be a way you can take high resolution screenshots, and I have not been able to find it again. Just love it when they move things around. Just like how ZBrush just decided to release the new UI system on us. So I have to learn a new UI again. Fuck you, ZBrush. Anyway, so that's the tutorial of how to make a nice little scene for your knife. I would love to see your knives or whatever you make. So don't be afraid to share. Comment your ArtStation. I want to see something. And I hope you learned something. Till I put my arms around you.